Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Sunday morning broadcasts by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community. We want to remind you that this community was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib of Qadian, and an important reform that he made was to go back to the teaching of Islam by the Holy Prophet Muhammad. And one of the things that he wanted to take Muslims back to was that no one has the right to say to a person who recites the kalima that you're not a Muslim. If one reciter of the kalima calls another reciter of the kalima a kafir or a heretic, then it is the caller who goes out of the fold of Islam. And this was the teaching of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. This was what he said. And today what I want to do is use books by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, who founded this Jamaat, to see what he says about this topic. And so let's go straight to that and see whether there is a group that holds views, that propagates views, which are against what Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib clearly said. So we'll start with this book called Taryaqul Qulub. In the Urdu broadcast we just had, someone asked for some extra information. So this Taryaqul Qulub there is a part of this collection of books printed as a set called Ruhani Khazain, and it's in volume 15. You can see that it's volume 15, and that's the book, Taryaqul Qulub. So I'm going to read out some pages from that. I hope our brother who asked this question was listening, because although I gave the book name and page number, I didn't give the volume number because I thought it was fairly obvious. Anyway, and you can see that this is Taryaqul Qulub, writing of Imam sent by Allah, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, etc. Here we go to page 432 of volume 15, and what I've underlined, I've translated. In fact, I haven't translated one bit, which I missed, I don't know how. Here, Hazrat Sahib says, from the very beginning, I have believed that by denying my claims, no one becomes a heretic or Dajjal. In fact, he goes on to say, I don't even consider such a person to be dishonest. Yeah, he says that. But then he marks a footnote, and he says here that this point is worth remembering, that to all the deniers of their claim a heretic is only allowed to the prophets who bring a Sharia, a religious law, and new laws from God, God Almighty. Except for the bearer of the law, all other recipients of divine revelation, mulhims and muhaddis, however mighty their grandeur or lofty their position, and the mantle of divine converse placed on them, by their denial, no one becomes a heretic. This brother was asking where the Prophet Messiah said that if you deny his claim, you don't become a kafir. So I read it out again. इब्तदा से मेरा यही मजहब है कि मेरे दावे के इनकार की वजह से कोई शख्स काफिर या दज्जाल नहीं हो सकता. From the beginning, it has been my belief that by denying my claim, no one becomes a kafir or dajjal. This is a clear answer to what our brother was asking. And then we carry on. The next page of the same book. However, any reciter or no reciter of the kalima is called kafir by me until he, by calling me a heretic or kafir and a liar, makes himself a heretic. Thus, in this matter, forever the initiation has been from my opponents that they have called me a heretic, prepared verdicts against me. I did not initiate and prepare a verdict against them. They can themselves show that if for Allah I am a Muslim, then in making me a heretic, the verdict of the Holy Prophet Muhammad falls upon me. Is this that they are heretics? Thus, I do not call them heretics. On the contrary, by calling me a kafir, they brought themselves under this verdict of the Holy Prophet. So he's saying twice, he's saying, I do not call a reciter of the kalima a heretic. He starts off by saying that, and then he ends, thus, I do not call them heretics. But by calling me a heretic, they bring themselves under the verdict of the Holy Prophet. Here is another book, Haqiqatul Wahi, published on 15th of May 1907. Let me show you this. This is Haqiqatul Wahi, Ruhani Khazain, Haqiqatul Wahi, and this is, I think, volume 22. Yes, volume 22, as you can see here. So our brother who was asking for volume numbers and so on can go and read them. Each book is only 500 or 600 pages. Here, again, I've translated into English the underlined Urdu text. Thus, after much insistence by Abdul Haq, I wrote to him that I did not want a prayer duel with a kalma reciting Muslim. Now look, Abdul Haq denies that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is a prophet. And how does Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad address him? Kisi kalma go Musalman. I did not want a prayer duel with a kalma reciting Muslim. He in reply wrote that when he had given a verdict of heresy against me, then for me, he has become a heretic. So what bar is there to pray you? Thus, after great insistence by him, I went to Amritsar for a prayer. मैं किसी कलमा गो से मुबाला नहीं करना चाहता. He wrote, हमने तुम पर कुफर का फतवा दे दिया. We called you a kafir. That means according to the hadith of the Holy Prophet, if you're not a kafir, be a kafir. Then Haqiqatul Wahi, page 184. And this is very interesting because we'll come to this later on as well. Dr. Abdul Hakim, in his writing Al-Masih Dajjal, etc., accuses me as if in my book it says that any person who does not believe in me, even though he is unaware of my name, and even when he is in a land where my call has not arrived, even then he will become a kafir and go to hell. This is mere fabrication by the said doctor. I have not written this in any book or poster. It is his duty to present any such book of mine in which this is written. Remember, he has out of cunning, as is his habit, fabricated against me. This is a matter which sense cannot accept. A person who's totally unaware of my name, how can he be held accountable? So this is an accusation against Hazrat Sahib. And then Malfuzat, let me show you that as well. This is Malfuzat, and it's volume 10. As you can see, on page 376, how our opponents make themselves heretics. This is a heading that I haven't given. It's already in there. Then this esteemed visitor, brackets, Mr. Fazle Hussain, barrister at law, said that if all non-Ahmadis are called kafir, then nothing is left of Islam. Replied, this is a reply by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, I do not, about any reciter of the kalima, say that he is excluded from Islam until by calling us kafir, he makes himself a kafir. So Hazrat Sahib is saying, I don't call anyone a heretic or anything, but they, by calling me a heretic, they make themselves heretics. Perhaps you don't know that when I claim to be a divine appointee, after that Maulvi Muhammad Hussain Maulvi Abu Saeed of Batala, by much hard work, prepared a verdict which said that this person is a heretic. And then he says, you shouldn't shake hands with them and so on, which I've left out. It is agreed that one who calls a believer a heretic is himself a heretic. So how can we deny this? You people tell us, under these circumstances, what option is there for us? We did not initiate a verdict. Now that we call them kafir, it is the result of their, that's the wrong there, but anyway, it is the result of their declaring us heretics. A person asked for a prayer duty. We said amongst Muslims, this is not allowed. He replied, we consider you to be an absolute heretic. The person said, they call you kafirs, but if you don't respond by calling them a kafir, then what harm is there in it? Replied Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, the one who does not call us a kafir, we absolutely do not call him a kafir. However, the one who calls us a heretic, if we do not consider him to be a heretic, then this is opposing the hadith and a unanimously agreed principle, and we cannot do. In in another place, which I haven't included, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad has said that, okay, if all the Maulanas issue a verdict that this hadith is wrong, then um, if after that I call anyone a kafir, then I'm blameworthy. Here is a book called Aina Sadakat by a group. That's the Urdu. This is the English translation, The Truth About the Split. And in it, this is the Urdu, and this is a translation, or this is an extract from their own English translation. These changes, according to Maulvi Muhammad Ali, relate to three matters. And the third one is the belief that all those so-called Muslims who have not entered into his bath formally, wherever they may be, are kafirs and outside the pale of Islam, even though they may not have heard the name of the promised Messiah. That these beliefs have my full concurrence, I readily admit. So this is admitted by this gentleman. Now we have the volume numbers, the page numbers, the book names, and so on. And this then carries on in the same book. This is the Urdu, and this is the English translation. As for the question of kufr, of non-Ahmadi Muslims, my belief is that kufr really arises from denial of God. Hence, whenever there comes any revelation from God, such a nature that its acceptance is obligatory on every man, the rejection of the same leads to kufr. Now, as we hold that the revelation which came to the promised Messiah are such that their acceptance is obligatory on mankind in general, to us, the man who rejects the promised Messiah is a kafir. Now, notice this. The promised Messiah himself says, I don't call anyone a kafir by rejecting my claim. And he says, the promised Messiah, anyway, the man who rejects the promised Messiah is a kafir, agreeably to the teachings of the Holy Quran, although he may well be a believer in all of the truths and so on. So it is in accordance with the same principles that Muslims who have so long with one accord designated as kafirs all those who have not accepted the faith of Islam, without taking into consideration the question of whether or not such failure is occasioned by want of adequate information concerning the Holy Prophet, etc. Goes on to say, category of who will class in the category of Muslims the equinox of the North Pole, the Red Indians of America, and so on and so forth, and other places, and millions of Christians who've not heard the name. Okay, now compare this with what Hazrat Sahib himself said. Doctor says, I have written that anyone who does not accept me, even when he is unaware of my name and he is in a country where my call hasn't arrived, he's a kafir and go to hell. This is a lie and a fabrication. I have not written this in any book or poster. And then he challenges the doctor to present that. So Hazrat Sahib says that, and again, Hazrat Sahib, we do not exclude any reciter of the kalima from Islam, unless and until he excludes himself by calling us kafirs. Nowhere does he say that by denying my claim you become a kafir. And this gentleman says here, all those so-called Muslims who have not entered into his bath formally, wherever they may be, are kafirs and outside the pale of Islam, even though they may not have heard the name of the promised Messiah. The promised Messiah himself is saying it's a fabrication and a lie. The promised Messiah is saying it's a fabrication and a lie to say that those who've not heard his name and are in countries where his call hasn't arrived are kafirs. And this gentleman saying, this belief has my full concurrence, I readily admit. So this is very sad that the whole thing has been turned on its head. The promised Messiah actually came. The promised Messiah actually came to unite the people. And as you saw, 2 days before he died, he said, I do not call anyone a kafir until he calls me a kafir, and then takes himself out of the fold of Islam because of the hadith of the Holy Prophet. So you can see that from books of the promised Messiah, I have shown that there are some people who say everyone who's not an Ahmadi or kafirs. They're not Lahori Ahmadis, by the way. The promised Messiah himself calls them liars. So these we end here with the prayer that Allah keeps all of you safe and sound and free from harm. There are some people who said that they want to contact me and talk to me, and I request them to send me a message on the messenger, and I will give them my details, and then they can talk to me and we can take it from there. Thank you very much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye. Our next broadcast is at 1 p.m. when we'll talk about the concept of charity in Islam and zakat. And then after that, at 3 p.m., we have a virtual meeting of the organization because of the lockdown and closure of places of worship, etc. Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz, goodbye.